Discovery Weekly.
Welcome to Discovery Weekly, the podcast that's about all of the other things we discovered throughout the week. I'm Kirk.
And I am Zach. And this week I discovered a very, very upset 90-year-old.
No.
So you might have heard something about this. There were two ads placed in the Wall Street Journal on February 3rd, and they are about $10,000 to do that. And it is literally a 90-year-old man raging at AT&T. And he paid $10,000 to do this. His name is Aaron Epstein, and he has been a loyal AT&T customer since 1960. But his internet service just wasn't doing it for him anymore. He said, I kept calling AT&T. When are you going to give us faster speed? They said, it's coming. But what really made me angry was they started putting ads in the paper and sending emails and putting ads on the internet saying, try our faster speeds. But the faster speed wasn't available in his area. So I'm guessing he's talking about fiber optics. Yeah. So he starts getting pissed off. And what he ended up doing was taking out ads in the Wall Street Journal. And they were titled, Open Letter to Mr. John T. Stankey, CEO AT&T. And ended with the question, why is AT&T, a leading communications company, treating us so shabbily in North Hollywood? And he literally put one ad in Dallas, Texas, to get, like, he wanted it in, like, the executive area. So I guess their executive offices are there. Oh, and then he put one in New York to mess with the investors. Like, so the investors of the Wall Street Journal or of AT&T would see it. So everyone obviously saw it. Everyone saw a man take out a private ad in the Wall Street Journal to yell at AT&T, and they started calling him. He received a call from AT&T the same day he ran the ads.
I believe it. No, I believe it. This sounds like a nightmare for AT&T, to be completely honest.
Yeah. They said, we're going to see what we can do for you. And he figured they'd put fiber optics in his area, and that's going to help out everybody in the neighborhood. And basically, when they went back to him, he said that the money he spent might have gone to his annual vacation, but he considers it money well spent. With the response I'm getting, it's accomplished my goals, he said. The money we could have spent for other luxuries is going to something that's also giving us pleasure. Oh, and they had to make a public statement about this. So like the last line of this, an AT&T spokesperson said in a statement that the company continually enhances its networks and invested $3.1 billion in the Los Angeles area from 2017 to 2019. Epstein says if they don't speed things up, he might consider taking his business elsewhere. I just love that there is a crotchety old man who has been, apparently he's been with AT&T since the 60s. So like, that's a long time, but like 60 years and you're going to ignore this dude. But yeah, he's still on the fence. We'll see how they do.
No, that's great. I actually listened to, I think it was an episode of Reply All. Everything feels like it was a Reply All episode now to me, but it was about internet. I think it was in New York, and how like the government made a deal with Verizon that they were going to be the only ones to do FiOS in the island, the Manhattan downtown. And they made this deal. It was this giant, deal, and they started advertising everywhere, just like you said. Like everyone was getting ads for this high-speed internet, and no one got it. Like no one got internet, like at all. And it was just like this ridiculous thing. And it's the thing is like that's the problem with American internet and why it sucks so bad is because there's these monopolies, because the government's made these deals with these monopoly companies, and there are no other options. So Mr. What's his face, you probably have like one more option, and it's probably worse than AT&T, and that's it. So there's not a competition. There's no competition to play off of each other very much anymore.
Yeah, there's a lot of, and they've taken I think billions with a B in tax dollars to expand because high-speed internet until 5G actually gets good is going to be fiber optics. So it's expensive to run. It's expensive to run what they call the last mile. So there's fiber optic cables running through every major city in America, but then you have to take it to neighborhoods, and that's what's expensive. That's why Verizon sold FiOS to Frontier, because they weren't going to make money on that for 20 years. And I think there's probably going to be better internet by then.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of problems that come into it. I completely understand why he's upset.
Oh yeah,
Both
for
you
sure.
and I have had issues with the internet, and we start calling people and freaking out on them until they fixed our internet.
Yeah. Speaking of better technology, I found a really cool article about better windmills. Because like wind power it's such an easy thing, or such a simple thing to be able to capture in concept. But when it comes to actually doing it, it's much more nuanced, and there's, issues with it. So I found this article, and it talks about some really cool technologies that they've innovated that hopefully will be like game changing for the wind energy. It says, for example, there are some indicators that large-scale wind farms can cause high levels of bird and bat mortality, and large turbines and wind blades have been known to have a negative impact on local aesthetics. Luckily, these issues are leading to innovative solutions that are making wind power an even more attractive option. For example, this Spanish company, and that's the name of this company that I wanted to highlight here, is Vortex Bladeless. They recently unveiled their design for a wind turbine that generates electricity without the need of rotating blades. So the turbine uses the force created by natural wind vortices to generate electricity. Basically, if you put an object in the path of wind, it creates an undulating vortex behind the barrier. Structural engineers have understood this for a very long time and have designed tall standing buildings and structures to either withstand or channel this vortex. Vortex Bladeless, on the other hand, designed their turbines to take advantage of this effect. They're thin. It's funny because somebody that I think the designer calls it asparagus because it looks like asparagus in a way, like upside down asparagus. So it's like almost like a tapered pole, like it tapers upward a little bit, but it's more like a cone. So the thin cone-shaped turbine is made of carbon fiber and fiberglass with the motor at the bottom. This design ensures that the wind's vortex spins synchronously. How do you say that word? Synchronously. Synchronously. There we go.
Maybe.
Synchronously along the entire cone, which causes it to oscillate back and forth and generate mechanical energy from the motor. The designers also mounted a ring of magnets at the base to give the rotation a boost. That's genius to me. That one's very smart, regardless of wind speed. So even if just a little bit of wind, as long as it starts the turning, the magnets will help it continue turning.
Wait, so am I hearing this right? The whole thing kind of like rotates around?
In a way, yes. I'm going to put it in the show link so you can see them. Yeah, so the whole upper part rotates, whereas like the bottom part has the motor and stuff like that. The fascinating stuff is it's cheaper to manufacture than the regular pinwheel. It's also cheaper to maintain because it doesn't involve near as much friction and moving parts. It's completely silent, and they don't have a lot of data to prove this yet, but ideally it's not going to be near the issue that it is for birds and bats for the giant ones, which I didn't realize those actually were as dangerous to birds as this article's making it seem. Because don't they spin actually fairly slow?
Yes. And I think that if you paint the windmill, it's like less dangerous for birds. I think it's just this weird thing that happened because they started putting windmills everywhere. And birds were caught in the crossfire.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to say that I read in this article says the founders further claim that their Vortex Mini, which is, the smaller version, can capture up to 40% of the wind's power during ideal conditions. Based on field testing, they admit, however, that is 30% less effective than conventional wind turbines. But it can be easily compensated for by the fact that you can put double the amount of vortex turbines in the same space as a propeller turbine, and it's not nearly. It almost looks like just a giant pillar in the desert or wherever you've got these things. You can put some nice RGB lights on it, and then you got like a little. Lights. You got yourself a nice art installation, and exactly. Now you've got a tourist attraction. And electricity at the same time.
Yeah, when they say that it has no sound, I find that hard to believe. Like, how is that possible that they're all moving around and it's silent? I don't know. That's interesting. I like the push for renewables though. That's a cool thing.
Yeah, no, I think that it's fascinating. I think there's finally going to be some innovation in this space, and I'm hoping that it can really make a difference because it's going to be. We should move forward, not backwards.
Yeah. So I discovered maybe one of the best bartering systems I've ever heard of. And this was actually I'm reading a transcript of Planet Money, so NPR show, great show.
Oh yeah.
But what they were talking about here is illegal animal trades. So there was one time where they found a damaged crate at JFK Airport, and an employee looked inside and saw animal skins, a lot of them. And so they called the feds, and there were 100,000 illegal pelts in there from all over the world, from South America, Asia, everywhere. Leopards, jaguars, pumas, all of that stuff. They do the calculations, and they said that 1/10 of the world's cheetah population is there in pelts.
What?
Yes.
That's ridiculous and horrible.
Yes. So they saw that, and they're like, apparently everyone was horrified because, as you should be, that's ludicrous.
It is horrifying.
So that's what happens when you can buy and sell animals. This is a quote from the article or from their transcript. Not long after, they signed a global set of restrictions on the trade of endangered species. In the U.S., the Endangered Species Act passed the same year. Now, you cannot buy an animal without a permit. So if you buy and sell endangered animals, you must be permitted. So you have to go through a federal process and get the right paperwork. Otherwise, you are doing it something extremely illegal. But here's the part that I loved. There is one type of place that has found a way around this, and not like a bad way, a great way. Aquariums have found a loophole because they barter. So in general, for the most part, because ever since everything happened with blackfish and everything like that, people have stopped doing orcas and things that are endangered, and they've just kind of avoided it. But in general, the aquarium is something where most of them are not endangered. And so aquariums can literally go out and like catch what they need to catch and like put it in there. But if they can't do that, they barter. And apparently this is something that is very common in aquariums. So they're talking about the New England Aquarium, which is in Boston, and they have this giant tank there, and they have tons of jellyfish. And so the New England Aquarium, their main money is jellyfishes. That's their trading currency is a jellyfish. And they have
I don't know if I like that or hate that at the same time.
Why? It's for other aquariums just so they can have jellyfishes in their tanks.
Yeah, I guess.
But yeah, so they have their basic unit of trade in Boston is a jellyfish. And so they barter hundreds of jellyfishes all over the place. So basically there's like tanks just growing jellyfish. And all of these people are doing it, and you just have to figure out what you're trading. You have to figure out what you need and then what they're going to want for that. So there's an example here that I want to basically just read you because it's ridiculous. So here's how it works. Recently, the curators had their eye on this beautiful species of fish. Oh, they wanted it bad. It's known as the look-down fish. It's a silvery schooling fish with very unusual physiognomy. I'm hoping that's right. Its forehead, physiognomy. Nope, not fish. Its forehead is radically sloped, and their eyes are perched right at the edge of the plane, and they look like they're looking down. So they had to figure out how to trade this. Now, an aquarium in North Carolina had these guys, but North Carolina wanted more than jellyfish because that's all Boston has, apparently. They just have jellyfishes. North Carolina wanted snipefish. So Boston had to go find the snipefish, which came to us from Japan, that were the results of a trade for lumpfish. Boston threw in some grunts, and in the end, we got look-downs, plain head files, and some burrfish. So it's like baseball season where you're doing a 3-team trade, and there's random pieces going everywhere, but it's all fish. Because if you trade them, you don't have to get a permit because they're not buying them. There's no money involved. They're not endangered. They can just do it.
And I thought bartering was dead, you know? Apparently it's very alive in the aquarium business.
Yeah, okay. Here's one more, and then you get the point. I would say that trading a school of mackerel for a flock of puffins was one of the best trades that we in New England aquariumites has managed to do. How many puffins and how many mackerels? They said they got a good dozen of puffins. It was at least a dozen. And how many mackerel? You said 800 mackerel. So it's just like this weird, crazy world mackerel. Where, like, how do you lock that in? Was there a conversation between like department heads at aquariums be like, no, we're not taking anything under 500 mackerel. You can get out of here with that garbage offer. I don't know. It's all just ridiculous.
Yeah, no, that's great. So both of my discoveries this week are about technologies that I thought were freaking crazy that I found while looking for stuff for tonight. This one actually blows my mind. I liked the windmill one. I think that was really cool and it's innovative. This one I think is like, what? It's just crazy. So they've come out with a new form of glass, but it is not made out of anything that you would probably think that it was made out of. If you had to guess what you think they're going to make glass out of, if you have, I don't know if you saw it already.
I haven't looked at your article, if that's what you're asking.
Good. What do you think they would try to make glass out of? That's a natural material.
Soy.
Not too far off. A researcher at the USDA Forest Production Laboratory has collaborated with colleagues from the University of Maryland and University of Colorado to develop a transparent wood that looks clearly like the window of tomorrow.
What?
They've made wood into glass. And everything about this blows my mind. And there's a video, they show them making the wood into the glass, and it's science, and it's beautiful, and it's amazing. They have demonstrated that transparent wood has the potential to outperform glass windows in nearly every possible way, making it one of the most promising materials of the future. So they talk a little bit about glass being kind of costly for the environment because, you know, there's a lot of stuff that goes into making glass. It's not very sustainable. It's not very good when it comes to like being used for a building. Like there's a lot of energy being lost when it comes to heat coming in or cold going out or vice versa. There's a lot of, you know, it's not very insulated and we've got them everywhere. We got glass everywhere. So it's not very good. But this is much better than glass that we know. So it says the scientists used wood from the fast-growing, low-density balsa tree. It's treated to a room temperature, oxidizing bath that bleaches it to nearly all of its visibility. The wood is then penetrated with a synthetic polymer called polyvinyl alcohol, creating a product that is nearly transparent. And there's pictures of it in here in the link. The natural cellulose in its wood structure and energy absorption polymer filler means that it is 3 orders of magnitude more durable than glass.
What?
It's much lighter in weight. It can withstand much stronger impacts. And unlike glass, it bends or splinters instead of shattering. Additionally, the transparent wood is a sustainable material, so you can just literally grow a forest of it and cut it down to make the glass out of it and then replant it with low carbon emissions and an ability to biodegrade much faster than plastics. It's made from a renewable resource that is also compatible with existing industrial processing equipment. So there's no new processing equipment you got to make. It's just using what we have right now, making the transition to manufacture of this a very easy prospect. With all of these potential benefits for consumers, manufacturing, and the environment, the case for transparent wood couldn't be clearer.
I was waiting
according
for it.
To this article.
Had to be.
No, but look at the picture. I mean, it's beautiful. It's crazy that that's a piece of wood that is glass.
That is mind blowing.
And when we get time, watch the little video on there because it shows how they literally take a piece of wood. It's just a little square. They literally are dipping it into this like not test tube, but like a beaker, just like we have at work. And it's got whatever solution that it makes it transparent, and it works. And it's transparent, but it's wood. And then they show like them hitting a hammer with one of these things and then a piece of glass, and it's one is not damaged at all, and the other one shatters into a million pieces.
Yeah, and I mean it's balsa wood, so it's literally not a big deal. Yeah, that's it. It seems like, why isn't this taken off? You know, I mean, it could have just happened, but like I feel like if it's just better than glass in every way.
This was written in October of 2020, so it's not that long ago.
Yeah,
for production at least.
So yeah, I think that is a great move. You know, I think that why not? If it's better than glass in every way, and because I do think I remember reading that they were having some issues with glass from sand because we're having a shortage of that sand for microchips too. Like there's
a sand shortage in the world right now.
So it's like
because of glass and because of concrete. You wouldn't think of it, but concrete is the biggest use of sand. Everything that's built has concrete in it pretty much.
Yeah. So we need to find a new solution for concrete so then we can make sure we have our computer chips. That's what we need. More than concrete.
Yes.
So I have another feel-good story for you.
Nice.
I found a pretty cool YouTube channel. It's called Grandpa Kitchen. And Grandpa Kitchen is by an Indian YouTuber who he did pass away like 2 years ago, but don't worry, it's not sad. It's sad that we lost somebody amazing, but it's not a sad story. His name was Narayana Reddy, and he has a YouTube channel that is purely devoted to him cooking absolutely insanely large meals outside. Literally, like he has, I don't know, several hundred eggs and makes like an egg dish. He has 12 chickens and makes like a chicken fried rice thing. It's literally like as big as like 5 people wide. It's gigantic. Goodness. But the reason why he did that is because that food was going to orphans. So he would make these gigantic meals to feed orphans. And then he also started Grandpa Kitchen because all of the proceeds from the channel also went to help local orphans and underprivileged people living in their area.
That's amazing.
So he literally has this whole catalog of making these giant meals. And it's one of those things that's like, it's visually interesting and like it's satisfying to watch him do it. But then you find out like everything that he's doing, and he would just contribute to like the local population as much as possible. And then once his channel started to take off, and his channel was literally just him cooking for the orphans. And then his channel started taking off, and all of his family members would like kind of quit their jobs and go work with Grandpa Kitchen. And so they would all start working with him. They would all keep making more food. And as the channel took off, they were able to donate more money to orphans. And unfortunately, Grandpa Kitchen did die, but all of his grandchildren have now taken over the videos. So there's like 3 grandkids that he has on there that are essentially running Grandpa Kitchen now because they're doing the same thing. And it's just really, a pretty cool thing. And they have a Patreon that essentially is the same thing. Basically, here, I'll read you their kind of thing. We operate a YouTube channel called Grandpa Kitchen. We entertain people by cooking food and donate the proceeds to charities. Our goal is to provide basic necessities like food, clothing, school supplies, and birthday gifts to the orphans. Thank you for your support. And yeah, so it just feels good. So if you want to watch a YouTube video and you want to also do something that's kind of cool at the same time, go check out Grandpa Kitchen. Pretty cool idea for a show. Pretty amazing.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Well, all right, man, that was some really awesome discoveries. I liked all of them. I mean, the jellyfish and then Grandpa Kitchen and wood out of glass. Like, who would have thought?
That's backwards, but yeah, who would have thought it?
The old man that like hates AT&T but loves him at the same time. Oh man.
Yeah, he clearly cares for him at some level, but they're just making him mad.
It's great stuff. So yeah, that was a great episode, and I'm looking forward to what we discover this week. And remember, they're making glass out of wood, guys, and that's crazy. And also, you can buy a jellyfish and use it as a currency.
Nope. Nailed it. Bye, everybody.
Bye.